All right. We will start momentarily. It's just before 6. For those of you who have to do a couple of quick things before we get started, do so. Hey, good evening, my brother. It's good evening. Thanks a lot, man. I appreciate that. I really appreciate that. It's flowers for Mother's Day. So it's what I had in the wardrobe. It's what I had in the wardrobe, my friend. Um, let's just wait a couple of minutes here for a few more people to join. Um, please do me a favor. Well, let's wait for a few people to join. Thank you. Thank you very much, Frost. This is very kind of you. Much respect to you for the kind words. So what we'll do is, okay, welcome, Jeff. Happy to have you. Um, is Siri around? Okay, good, good. Oh my goodness, every time I say Siri, I lose the screen. Okay, okay, let's get back here. Hey, Alejandro, welcome. Welcome. For those of you, just have some patience. We're going to get started momentarily. Yes, Alex, thanks a lot. I wore this in honor of all the mothers out there. If you wouldn't mind doing me a little favor, if you could just click the share button on the bottom left while you're watching, that would be great. So we can reach more viewers. Today's topic, I'm hoping, is going to be one that you can all either identify with or you know someone who can identify with, and then you will hopefully gain a new perspective. Chrissy Crane, welcome. I'm glad you're able to join. Say hello to Charlie and Brian. Happy Mother's Day, Chrissy. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. We're just going to wait a few seconds here and get started. I know there's a couple people who still are trying to join the call. So once they're on board, we can get started and get to a topic that I really am excited about sharing with you today. Let's just get started and in a brief moment here. Let me just, okay. Okay. Excuse me. Okay, we will start momentarily here. Let me go back to the, okay. Okay, so some people are in Whole Foods. Okay, no problem. So we will get moving here. Okay, so we're gonna get moving here. We'll get started. Um, okay, great. So welcome, Larry. Welcome, Mersad. Welcome, Barak, and welcome, Siri. Hey, Mersad, is Amra also with you there, or is it just you? I just want to know who's here. And to Siri and some of the other guests that I see are popping in, happy Mother's Day. Anyways, we're going to get started here because I'm sure people have a lot going on this evening. And this is one episode here this evening that comes at a very timely stage in the COVID-19 lockdown. So I'm hoping that we can really share some really important ways that we have been coping, but more importantly, we can share the hope that we have instilled in ourselves, because I know many of you are very hopeful. Leila, welcome and happy Mother's Day to you. So for those of you who are commenting about my shirt, I just wanted to say that I wore this shirt in honor of all the mothers for Mother's Day. So happy Mother's Day to all the mothers. And I'm hoping that we will have a very good discussion today. So a couple of things there. The topic of today is our struggles can be gifts. Hey, welcome, Amala. I know you're in Whole Foods, but thank you for joining. Um, and happy Mother's Day to you as well, Amala. And thanks for your suggestions today. Earlier, we had a very nice FaceTime with Amala and Haider and some really good advice. They always give me really good wisdom. So, walaikum salam, Leila. So, what I wanted to talk about today is our struggles can be gifts. And the important thing about that and why it's timely, not only during the COVID 19 crisis, but also on this beautiful day we call Mother's Day, um, is because we learn a lot from our mothers and our motherly influences. And with that being said, I wanted to talk a little bit about that today and some of the learnings and what we establish from our mothers and from those who give us a motherly influence. Welcome, Farah Adil, another mother. So happy Mother's Day to you. I hope you and Farhan are doing well. Send my regards to him. We wanted to talk a little bit about some of the struggles that can be gifts. So I'm not asking trivial things today about what you did for Mother's Day because I'm sure everyone's had a very unique way to celebrate this day, and everyone does things in ways that work for them. So we're not going to go into I had these flowers and I had a lunch or breakfast in bed and all that. I really want to get to a topic that has a lot to do with what we have gone through and what we will go through, and that's about life and some of the struggles that we encounter in life. And again, it's very timely. So as I speak, I think this audience is very accustomed to sharing in the comments section. So today I'm going to do less a provocation around asking you to comment in the comment section. I want you to do that organically. So just please put comments in as we speak. The reason is because this is a little bit more content rich today because I did put some research together around how our struggles can be considered gifts. So first of all, before I forget, every time someone new joins, I just want to make sure I wish everybody a happy Mother's Day. And I hope that you guys are having a great day. And I hope you have many more wonderful days as you spend time together with your families during this coronavirus. So one of these topics that really drew my attention was a few months ago by an author named J.R.R. Tolkien. And he is somebody who experienced a difficult early life as an orphan, and then as a World War I soldier. He endured through much trauma and suffering in his life, and it became a significant element in his growth and his development. And he later on wrote lots of fictional books. He presents pain and suffering to some extent, although there's a difference between the two, but he did present them both as inevitable and an essential part of the human nature of our fallen world. Yet, while it may seem first as a form of punishment, if we treat punishment or if we treat this punishment or this pain appropriately, it turns into a very powerful tool for us. And it allows us to achieve both personal as well as societal salvation. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. I wanted to welcome Stomps. Happy Mother's Day to Susan, and also happy Mother's Day to your mom, Stomps. I hope you had a great day with your family. Havka, welcome and happy Mother's Day. And we're going to get started here. So Tolkien, like I mentioned to you earlier, was a man who suffered. He placed so much emphasis on suffering that we will review how much of that he went through in his life. He experienced things like he lost his father at a young age, and he was only 4 years old, to be honest with you. And then his mom's health began to decline, and then she died very shortly after her health started to decline. And this led him to be a young orphan. So welcome, Mom and Dad. Welcome, Mom, especially to you today. Happy Mother's Day. We were just talking about how we learn from our mothers, and I have learned a great deal from you, and I'm blessed to have you as a mom, and I was really happy to speak with you and see you earlier today. So happy Mother's Day to my mom. Okay, so we're talking about how our gifts can be, our punishments can be gifts, our struggles can turn out to be gifts. So, what ended up happening in Tolkien's early years, and as he became an orphan, he started associating the concept of pain with his faith, and then this helped him tremendously because he believed in God, and having that belief. And I'm not again proposing any religious views on anyone here, but there's something in here that he was able to learn about, and that's the meaning of pain. And what he learned throughout his challenges in life was that pain cannot be viewed only as a punishment or an inevitable consequence of human wickedness. So that's not what it was to him after he suffered so many unfortunate events. It is in his view that many, in his stories, many innocent characters who suffer end up suffering the most. They have not done anything bad to feel or to believe that they deserve this kind of pain and suffering. The thing that ends up happening is that the pain that they experience is more complex, and it allows you to understand the purpose of life. And this is what happens. So it's important in his works that he believed, and I believe this personally, that the pain that we go through, the struggle, the loss, is really all for a purpose, a greater purpose in life. And we later on will discover that there is a purpose for this, and God chooses us for a reason to go through this. It is a way for us to restore something that is wrong in the atmosphere or something that's misaligned. So we need to experience this kind of pain and suffering to restore justice in what's happening in the world. It's an opportunity. So I think it's very important for me to remind everyone, and many of you on the line here or on the call have experienced pain, but it's an opportunity to realize that there is something wrong or something that can be changed or replaced in your life by removing the thing that's not in harmony with what's good or what's balanced. So what that means is that it will eventually, going through that suffering and that pain, allows you to align things and get things in order, get your house in order, so you can ultimately lead a better life. Thus, as difficult as it is to endure and feel, and even for me to quite honestly describe, removing that pain will ultimately not only lead to a better life, but the sorrow that you encounter or endure at that time is basically a good thing. And that's going to be really hard for many people to comprehend that, but it's a virtuous good. And it denotes the rejection and recognition of something that's misaligned in your life. However, it's very important throughout our struggles that we don't look at punishment to be the thing that breaks us. It must turn us to the right path and a path of positive change. Only when we make our will subscribe to a higher purpose does that pain and suffering become good. Welcome to the show, Charmaine. Nice to see you. We're talking about how pain and suffering can sometimes be gifts. Randy, welcome, Randy. Nice to have you join us. Okay, so we're talking now not only about the pain, but also the healing of broken nature. It comes through suffering. So without going through that pain, you will not experience the suffering. And in that joy that we experience that comes after the pain, what ends up happening is we get a glimpse of what true joy is. And you feel that in your heart. And they always say, the best example I've used is, you can't appreciate your good days without some tough days. So the reason I like to bring this to the forefront is that excruciating pain and that relative suffering that you go through allows you to really, really get present in the moment when you feel the joy, because you know what the polar opposite of that joy is. So you begin to appreciate and love that more. And it's hard at times to describe this to people. I think some of you on the line can describe, I'm sure Larry has some good stories as well as others on the line about how the pain and suffering ultimately led them to some really good place. So it is that same pain that is actually a gift. And why is it a gift? Because it allows us to be embrace that good purpose, to go through that pain, and allows you to serve that purpose. And then God can allow you to also perceive things and feel things that are present. Hi, Dante. Welcome. Welcome, Radia. Welcome. We were just talking about how pain and suffering can be your gifts, depending on how you use it. And we're using Tolkien and his Platonic approach here. He believes that we can understand the meaning of suffering, whether it was for good or whether it was for bad, whether it was useful for something. Only retrospectively can we understand, once we actually distance ourselves from that pain, how good it was. It's very difficult to understand that it's good for you while it's going on because you are feeling the suffering. You are going through that. So it's very difficult. So ultimately, throughout this process, you will get to a point where you'll distance yourself from it, and then you'll feel really good. All things and all deeds have a value in themselves, apart from their causes and their effects. Nobody can estimate what is really happening at the present. So basically what I'm trying to say in a nutshell, if nothing else, it can be at least in the encouragement of others by provoking them with fear and compassion and pity that induces obedience, mercy, and charity. What you'll find is through this experience that you go through, you'll find yourself to be more merciful, more charitable, more kind, and more compassionate. I'll break here because Larry says something. Pain and suffering have given me perspective and gratitude and healing for myself, thus having empathy for others. So one of the things, Larry, this is a very good point about empathy, because one day we'll have a discussion here about the difference between empathy and sympathy. They're very different. And what I believe Larry is trying to say is that having empathy has allowed him to feel and understand what somebody else is going through rather than just looking at them and feeling sorry for them. It's understanding. It's a comprehensive experience that you can bring to the table. So I agree with that. Mirsad says this pain you're talking about in reality is a means of advancement. No pain, no gain. It sounds simple, but what Mirsad is in fact saying is that we gain. And what is a gift? A gift is a gain. When someone gives you a gift, you have gained something. So no different from this example or this description, no pain, no gain. You go through it, you experience some pain, and you receive back a gift. And it's the gift of wisdom. It's the gift, like Larry says, of gratitude. So thank you both of you for those comments. Sanella, welcome. Irma, welcome. So in short, what I'd like to say is Tolkien believed that suffering of the innocent is not unjust. So, when people always say that, oh my God, it always happens. Why does it happen to the good people? Or the innocent gets suffer sometimes. Excuse me. It serves some higher purpose. So I'm in no way asking anybody to invoke suffering on themselves, invoke pain. But what I would like to do is just have you take a moment to reflect and take a look at some of the gifts that come along with that. You were chosen for that for a reason, and you will gain from that. So you will definitely find the light at the end of the tunnel. So we have to trust. We have to put our trust and put our faith that there's a higher entity that has his plans, in which even the pain and the evil and the negativity that's happening at that point, it will ultimately fulfill something that is good. You may not see it today or tomorrow or next week, but eventually those experiences that you endured will become of value to you and to the ones around you that you love. So when we are faced with some seemingly undeserved suffering, we can do one of two things, right? We either complain and we give up. How many of you have complained and just given up when you experience suffering and pain? Or you can have humility, or you can be humble and empty ourselves and await for the reward, and that's the gift. So if you truly hold on to that, you can take a different approach. And to me, that's all about patience. So once we have chosen to suffer for the higher cause, we should never abandon it because of the suffering. So you make an intention that you're going to go through this, you're going to put the work in, you're not going to take the shortcuts. What that means is that you've made that commitment, so you can't abandon your cause. You must see it through to get the most out of it. And that's not easy. I will tell you, that's very challenging. It requires the strong will to endure this. And it requires commitment and discipline. And most importantly, it requires faith. So don't let the pain break you. Stick to the quest with hope. And we talk about this on a very regular basis. Continue to have hope. Only then will you achieve victory, and you will save yourself, and you will ultimately save others that are experiencing hard times. Every event that an individual faces in life can affect the development of the individual, and it can also affect the fate of others that are around you, as well as the history of the entire world. We are all making history together. So your experiences, should you take them on and be hopeful and take them as a gift, you will make a bigger mark in history. A hope that no evil lasts forever. Nothing lasts forever. And that if we keep trusting and sticking to our cause, the suffering, and I promise you, suffering will come as a reward in the end. Likewise, we should never lose hope in the good cause, no matter how unlikely victory seems, because you will be tested, and we are all being tested now. You will be tested. But what I say is the suffering that you endure, and the less you take that on and run away from it, the less the victory will feel and the less you'll be able to contribute. So that's an inspiration for you. So the more precious and enjoyable that victory and that reward will be. So please feel free. I'm going to read a comment here from Larry. Larry says, I keep three things: faith, hope, and trust in good things that come out of the bad. And this is precisely what we're talking about, Larry. These are three excellent things to live by: faith, hope, and trust. And whether you're spiritual or you're following any sort of religion, these are words to live by. If you can keep going back to those words and trusting the process and having patience, and I know we're hitting on a lot of different themes right now, and this is a lot for people, but I'll tell you, it's important as we look at it now in the current crisis that we're in this pandemic, that we continue to find that there will be good things coming out of this. So I want to just say a few things in closing. And first and foremost, I want to thank everybody for sticking through this session about how our suffering can be viewed as gifts. In summary, what I want to say is suffering, in the understanding that we conveyed today, even if it is inflicted as a punishment for sins, even if you are receiving that for a punishment, its purpose is to make us aware, to make us conscious of something in our life that is not in alignment. And for those of you who are on the religious track or spiritual, I do want to say something. It's not aligned not only in the universe that we live in, but also in the plan that God has for all of us. So I said in the beginning that there's a misalignment. That suffering and pain is to get you back on the path. It provides an opportunity for all of us to reflect on our former behavior prior to the pain and suffering and change for the better. So there's a lot of situations in which we go through this, and some of us become estranged, some of us go away and we need quiet moments, and that's totally fine. throughout that process, you're learning and you're developing and you're growing. And when you come out of this, which you will because of the pain and suffering, and we're going to connect this to COVID-19 in a second here, what ends up happening is that you find that your former behavior wasn't the right behavior for you, and you change for the better. It is also a means for some quality that I think we should all strive for. It's humiliation. Because what ends up happening is when you suffer and when you take on that burden, you feel at least humiliated within yourself. And what's the root word of humiliation? It's humility. And what you build is you build humility, and you sacrifice things that ultimately allow you to cultivate your own virtues. It's a method, in my humble opinion, of healing of the broken nature of the fallen human being. On the other hand, there is this undeserved suffering of innocent. And we talked about that as well earlier. To me, that's a greater reward and a greater blessing for those who go through this for reasons unjustified, unprovoked. It's a bigger blessing for those people because it allows them to be direct participants in the redemption, not only of aligning themselves, but aligning the whole world. How do we tie this back? So I'm going to close here in a sec. I do want to read Randy's comment here because he has such great inspiring things. Randy loves this topic. We find our strength in each moment builds confidence for the next challenge. And that, my friend, is one cool shirt. Randy, happy Mother's Day to your mom as well. I wore this shirt actually, Randy, for number one, for my mom, to wish her happy Mother's Day. She lives all the way in Canada and Mississauga, and I can't be with her, and I wish I could be with her every day. So I wear this shirt mostly for her, so she could see that I'm celebrating Mother's Day for her over here. And I couldn't get you the flowers that I wanted to get you, so these are my flowers to you, Mom. So thanks, Randy. You asked me about the shirt, so I told you about it. Okay, so in conclusion here, please, everybody, we are facing almost the 9th week, I think going into the 9th week of the pandemic, at the 2-month mark shortly. So what I'd like to say to you all is this is pain for many, this is suffering. Many people are starting to find things emerging in their life that don't feel good. I would like you all to not feel like this is something that you can't come out of. Bigger, better, stronger, more humble, more loving, more virtuous, more grateful, more patient, and ultimately more experienced. So I would like to close and say to everybody here, happy Mother's Day. For those of you who joined late, please take a moment to watch the recap if you can. Really glad that you all could make it, and have a great night. God bless you all. From Chicago, good evening, good night. And everybody go out there and have an amazing week, okay? And don't give up. Keep going. Because as you keep going, you're going to make one step further to being on your way to a life that's aligned and serving your purpose. Good evening.